Welcome to a new video and a new trap. And the game started with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, and c4. And this is the Maroczy bind of the Sicilian defense. Knight c6, d4, cd4, knight d4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, bishop e2, castles, castles, bishop d7, queen d2, rook c8, rook f to d1, and interesting move from black, knight to e5. A little bit tricky from black, and now let's see how white handle this position. So he protects the pawn on c4 with b3. Knight e to g4, attacking the bishop, of course. Bishop takes g4, knight takes g4, and bishop to g5. Of course, white wants to preserve his bishop, his dark square bishop, because it counters the black's bishop on g7. h6, bishop h4, and this is the bad move or the blunder or the tactical blunder. Bishop take d4, and now of course immediately black takes the opportunity to benefit from this mistake. Bishop take d4, queen d4, and excellent move e5, attacking the queen and attacking the bishop on the same at the same time. So bishop take d8, e takes d4, bishop e7, and d takes c3. Bishop take f8, king take f8, and now it's obvious that black is material up, and it's a matter of technique, but still white can hold, but black can win with the careful play and good moves. So rook take d6, bishop e6, rook c1, rook c5, rook to d3, knight to e5, of course. Now black must coordinate his pieces and start to advance his pawns and create some passed pawn, or try to exchange some pieces to benefit from material advantage. Rook 3 takes c3, rook d takes c3, g5, of course, preventing any advance of f4, because the knight is good placed or well placed on e5. So after g5, preventing f4, f3, a5, king f2, f6, g3, and now of course white insists on playing f4, dislodging the knight or expelling the knight from e5. King e7, f4, knight to g4 check, king g2, h5, h3, knight h6, a3, and rook to c8. Now black maneuvering the rook. b4, a4, a4, knight f7, and c5. Maybe white thinks that he can create a passed pawn and benefit, but his material is not helping him. Bishop to d7, controlling the white squares and controlling the advance and preventing the advance of the pawns. So it's difficult to make progress for white. Rook c4, rook a8, rook 1 to c2, knight to d8. More and more knight can go to e6 or to c6. rook to b2, bishop to b5, rook to d4, and also this is bad because of g takes f4, g takes f4, and knight to e6, and now more and more black will win some material. Rook to d6, bishop to c6. Of course, two pawns are under attack. So f5, bishop e4 with check, king h2, and bishop take f5. And now I think it's more difficult and impossible for white to hold without any obvious or clear blunder from black. So rook to f2, bishop to e4, rook f to d2, f5, rook to d7, king f6, rook to h7, trying to regain some material, rook a1, rook h6 check, king to e5, rook h5, knight to f4, attacking the rook, rook to h8, knight to d3, king g3, f4, and now this pawn will make his way to the promotion square, king to h4, f3, king g3, rook g1 check, king h2, rook to b1, and too much for white to handle. So king to g3, f2, and now rook takes d3, thinks that he can like prevent the queening or the promotion of the pawn, but black surprise white and plays f1 equal under promotion to knight with check. So king must move, but at this point white resigned. In a analysis, after knight to f1 check, king to f2, and bishop takes d3, and enough is enough. This is completely winning for black. So this is our blunder for this video, for this game. Bishop to h4, keeping this bishop aligned with the queen, and this bishop attacking on d4. So bishop take d4, queen d4, and e5. And now this is winning for black. So be careful, study your opening very well, and see you next video and next trap or blunder. Thank you. Bye.